here at the Tohono High School here in Babakiri District. We have here the acting director of the Tucson area director of the Health and Human Services, Mr. George Bearpaw. Mr. Bearpaw, could you just give an introduction in terms of the position that you hold and the responsibilities?
My name is George Bearpaw. I'm the acting area director for the Tucson Area Indian Health Service. And the area that we cover is southern Arizona, the hospital and cells, and we've got three health centers, Santa Vera, Santa Rosa, and the new one, which is west of here, is San Simon. And we provide the health care for not only Tohono but also for the Paqua Yaqui, and also the urban program in Tucson.
What can you give on an update in terms of what you know of the ongoing discussions that are going on in Washington, D.C., specifically with the Tohono Nation?
I think that the discussions that are going on in Washington, D.C. affect everybody. It's just not only the Tohono but all Indians throughout the nation. And it's going to be interesting to see what the outcome is with the debt ceiling and all the other things that are being discussed in the next few years.
A week ago, there has been a lot of support with Congress in terms of appropriations for Indian country.
Right.
But the question really is in terms of direct services to the nation, in particularly given the fact that what's happening out here in terms of the migrants who are coming from the south to the north, and specifically being addressed here at the South Service Unit in terms of services that it provides. To what extent has there been any discussions from your office with the tribal leaders in terms of how that's going to be addressed? Because it has been an ongoing issue in terms of the revenues and distribution in terms of appropriations and services to our tribal members out here at South Service Unit.
Well, it's a national problem as far as the immigrants, the undocumented immigrants that are crossing the border. And you're right, they do impact the services that we provide not only at the clinics but also the hospital. And we've made presentations to quite a few folks within the last 10 years, including John McCain, including others, the Homeland Security folks. We've given a lot of information to the Tohono for their use in lobbying efforts for funding, and not only for the health but also for law enforcement, all the other things that affect the Tohono. And we also were involved in the Section 1011, which has sunsetted now. We did collect some reimbursements for those services to the undocumented immigrants, but still we need more, in the way of services or in the way of reimbursements. So it's an ongoing challenge for the Indian Health Service and the staff to try to still provide health services to the Tohono population in light of servicing the undocumented immigrants.
And then to the urban population, and as far as services, health services that are provided to urban tribal members, and I'm not only including members of the Tohono Nation, but other members
Right.
that represent other tribes throughout Arizona and elsewhere, funding-wise services.
We've been pretty fortunate. The Tucson area has done a good job, and I give a lot of credit to our tribes, the Paqua Yaqui as well as Tohono and their lobbying efforts. We've been very fortunate. We haven't received any cutbacks. We're maintaining our budgets. They're all solvent, so we've done quite well. Contract health services, we still have some pretty good funding for outside resources or referrals that we make. So, and I can't say the same for other areas. And it's all due to just the partnership between the tribes.
And are there outside agencies that you work closely with, like for example the Tucson Indian Center? Are there others that are also providing some sort of services going back to the appropriations to provide services?
Yes, we do. We work with the Tucson Indian Center. We work with the state of Arizona. As you know, access is a big money source for us, and we've been working pretty well with the state of Arizona and also the access folks to try to maintain our level of reimbursements that we get through the state. Actually, we do work with all the congressional delegation to some extent. When they ask for information, we provide it. That's our role as the federal agency, is to do that. And as far as the budget, we do work with Tohono leadership to give them information so that they can work with Grijalva's office and some of the others in showing what we actually have or don't have for the Tohono membership.
And with the National Congress of American Indians, have you had an opportunity to go before the National Congress of American Indians? Because there have been various tribal leaders as well as non-tribal leaders who have come before the National Congress as far as reports are concerned and what have you.
Well, actually, I'm pretty proud of the tribal leadership for both tribes. They've been pretty representative in the way that some of those issues are addressed at the National Congress of American Indians, and not only that, the National Indian Health Board as well. And again, we work pretty well with them, pretty well with the leadership, and it really pays off to have that type of partnership, and it gets the job done for us at the local level.
That I will promote
and protect the best interest of the nation
and protect the best interests of the nation
in accordance
with
its Constitution, laws and ordinances, so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I, Ned Norris Jr.,
I, Ned Norris Jr.,
do solemnly swear
that I will support
and defend the Constitution of the Tohono Nation
support and defend the Constitution of the Tohono Nation
against all enemies, that I will faithfully and impartially carry out the duties of my office to the best of my ability, that I will promote and protect the best interest of the nation in accordance with its Constitution, laws and ordinances, so help me God.
So help me God.
It's David Garcia, Tohono Communications, and we have the Vice President of the Salt River. Your name?
My name is Martin Harvey. I'm the current Vice President of the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian Community.
Mr. Vice Chairman, you were one of the dignitaries that was invited for the chairman of the Tohono Nation at Norris Jr. Just fill us in on what the Salt River Maricopa Indian Tribe is working towards in terms. We were interviewing the acting director of Health and Human Service, George Bearpaw. We just interviewed the chairman of the Paqua Yaqui tribe, but as a vice chairman of Salt River, what is it that Salt River is working towards for your members?
Well, I think like all tribal leaders, I think what we're trying to do as tribal leaders is to provide for our members of our community in whatever way we can, providing jobs, employment, just providing those services that our members deserve.
Have you been able to travel to Washington, D.C.? Because what's going on in Washington, D.C. with Congress is that they're debating the Department of Interior's budget, and on both sides of the House they have issues with specifically the environmental issues and natural resources, but it seems to me that they're very supportive of the appropriations for Indian country. What's your thinking on that?
Well, I think the question, if I have personally gone to D.C.
Right.
to discuss these items with legislators there, me personally, no, but our president has traveled to D.C., we've had staff travel to D.C. on various issues that we face and all tribal nations face, environment, funding, whatever items that each tribe finds necessary to visit D.C., we do try to go as tribal leaders and try to make sure that they understand what our need is as a tribe. As
for Salt River, under Homeland Security, has that been an issue in terms of what Homeland Security, specifically, like more or less here for the Tohono Nation, because we are so close to the international border, Mexico and the United States?
Well, I think that's a concern of all tribes, but I think here, just traveling to come here this morning to the inauguration, I think every car that I passed coming this morning was a Border Patrol agent vehicle, and then I was telling my wife, I said, it really kind of seems like the privacy of the people here is kind of probably lost with everything that's happening here, being so close to the border. But I think the Salt River Pima Maricopa Indian community's concern is not as much as of the illegals, which we do. I have to say that we do hear that there are some illegals that do live in our communities, and unfortunately it seems like illegals that come into the country seem to go to native communities to kind of hide out, I guess you would say, away from the authorities. But a lot of our concern is just encroachment from surrounding cities.
There was on the way down here this morning, we were listening to the radio program that comes out of Albuquerque, and one of the issues was the Native American Indian Religious Act, addressing all Indians who are incarcerated, whether it's state or federal. And the issue really was trying to defend, to practice their religion. And unfortunately, Arizona is one state where they haven't been getting a lot of support in terms of allowing ceremonies, sweats, and talking circles. What's your thinking on that? Because again, one of the callers was really looking into tribal leaders to open the door for the more discussion in terms of speaking for those inmates who are incarcerated.
Well, I think the traditions of each tribe is very important. That's who we are. Today I was very impressed of the inauguration in the tradition part of the ceremony. And not only the tradition part, but also the church part of it that took place. You don't see that in a lot of government circles where that is allowed. But as a community, just recently, that has been a concern. Even having the request of individuals that incarcerated of keeping their hair. The authorities want to still cut off the Native Americans' hair if they do not have a paper saying that it's a cultural reason why they have their hair. So it is a concern, and it should be a concern. Again, that's who we are.
And one of the other things that was talked about is violence, gang violence. This nation is no different from any other reservation throughout the country who has to deal with the violence that's been placed on tribal members. What is Salt River doing in terms of the gang violence that has been talked about in Indian country?
Well, I just think it's kind of sad. Even coming up here, as isolated as some of the villages are, I seen on some of the signs some of the graffiti, and we have that in our community, and so bad that some staff has to take time to go out and cover up the markings on the walls in people's homes. And it's really getting out of hand. And I think the message on that, just like a lot of the social issues that we face in Indian country, it starts back in the home. It's up to us as parents to make sure we teach our children respect for each other, respect for the land. And it's just something that I think as parents we need to make sure that our children are respectful of others.
And let's question on to Indian gaming. Now Arizona is one that will eventually, a couple of years from now, will have to renegotiate compacts with the state of Arizona. And I know that the Tohono Nation is looking at a fourth casino, and there's been a lot of discussions on the state as far as state and local government in terms of what the nation is pursuing as far as the casino, fourth casino in Glendale. I know that there's been a lot of resistance on the part of some of the tribes here. But as far as Salt River, how is Salt River working and doing in terms of their casinos with Salt River revenues and all of those things that come with it?
I think a lot of the success of casinos depends on location. And Salt River is located in the metro area of the Scottsdale and Mesa area, so there are some benefits that we have. Some people call it benefits, others will say it's kind of a curse because of the things that it brings into our community. But the success of a lot of the casinos, it kind of depends on where you're located. And I know that Tohono is pushing for that fourth casino, and they have a lot of work to do. And I know there's opposition. There's litigation that's taking place, and I think the people in the Proposition 202 made decisions on gaming in Arizona, and I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to look back and fall back on.
Well, I want to thank you again, Vice Chairman, for allowing us to interview you. It was very important to have you here and to be one of the dignitaries representing Salt River Indian, Maricopa Indian community.
Well, thank you, and God bless the nation.
Thank you. please?
Larry Key Yazzie.
Mr. Yazzie, what's your position here on the Tohono Nation in terms of your work, or are you here as one of the dignitaries?
No, not a dignitary. I'm tribal judge for the nation. Been appointed for a 5-year period and have been working here for a year and a half now.
So you're one of the appointed judges, or
Yes,
just the
appointed
the
judges.
appointed?
Mhm.
What's been there has been this whole issue within the past, especially with this election that just happened here. Were you one of the judges that that was presided over this whole issue of the election, the election board in terms of the election as a whole?
Yes, there's 3 of us that presided and made that decision to uphold the election in one of the districts.
And I'm assuming that you were one of the judges that that's that presided over the former legislative chairman of Verlin Jose's issue when he filed it with the tribal courts.
That's correct.
The question on whether or not he's officially the chairman or the chairman of the Chukotka district.
That's
Could you
correct.
just share with us in terms of how that was addressed and the decision that was finally made? Because this afternoon he took the oath.
According to the Constitution of the nation and the election ordinance that they have implemented, the members of the nation, voting members, have the right to file before the Legislative Council, election dispute, election contests. If they feel their rights have been violated, if they feel the election board did not follow the procedures, then they can file before the Legislative Council. And that's what happened in this situation with Verlin Jose. They had a 3-day hearing before the full council, and Mr. Jose was the decision was that he was the winner, that he should be seated as the chairman of the district. However, the district members did exercise their right to file in tribal court, and Mr. Jose in turn he filed what's called a writ of mandamus with the appellate court, which is the highest court here on the nation, comprised of 3 judges that are appointed by the chief judge. And we had two different hearings and received briefs from attorneys, and put a lot of effort and a lot of thought into the laws of the nation. And out of respect for the Legislative Council and everyone that's involved in the decision-making process, we upheld essentially the Legislative Council's decision. The Constitution says their decision is final, and unless there's some real flagrant abuse of their authority, which wasn't there, we don't overturn that. So that's the way it came out, essentially.
And so what's your thinking on the way that the district council did not follow through on all those individuals who were elected to sit on the nation, because it was the council, Chukotka District Council, that did not certify all these individuals that were actually won in the election. So that was basically what upheld these individuals.
Well, it's this ongoing political, process, and it's their right to challenge the election results, but they must do it according to the set procedures and the law. So, and I have to respect all officials, from top on down at the district level, and give them their day in court, and which happened, and they. But the law of the people, which is in the Constitution, is what is controlling, and it's judge's job to interpret that law and apply the facts to the law that is the law of the land. And that's the way you look at a constitution of a nation is when the people established a constitution, it was the total nation, all the members. That's their law. And so that's why that's the supreme law of the land.
I know that there were several questions they were asking. If you could comment to those questions.
Well,
that
I guess the question was asked, what do I bring to my job as a judge that's maybe unique? As a Native American, you know, I take pride in the fact that I have the advantage, I think, of over non-natives, having had a traditional upbringing. I speak my language, and so I understand where our people are coming from. You know, I grew up much like this out here with livestock and this hard life.
Mr. Yazzie, where are you originally from?
I'm from Navajo country. I grew up raising animals and being out in the desert. I consider myself a desert person, just like the people here. And so
Which chapter house?
in Tuba City.
Tuba City, okay.
But what I was telling your associate here was that I enjoy talking directly with the people and making them feel my humanity and my understanding of their circumstances, and also from a traditional perspective, traditional viewpoint. And then I encourage them to respect their elders, to respect the words of their elders and their customs and traditions. So I enjoy my work. I think I'm very effective, and I'll continue to do it.
David Garcia, Tohono Communications, and we have the chairman for the Paqua Yaqui tribe. And again,
Peter Gabicio.
Mr. Gabicio, you were here at the inauguration for the new chairman of Tohono Nation, Ned Norris Jr. And to your left.
Yeah, my name is An, and I have Casino Del Sol has a An Del Sol Chinese restaurant and Japanese restaurant.
And is there any workings for the Tohono Nation in terms of a restaurant there at the Tohono Nation's casino?
Peter's my boss, so whatever he told me to do, I do it.
Okay.
Yes.
So we are happy to be here, though.
Yes,
Ned's, and we wish the Tohono Nation all the success in the world, and Ned, of course, has the blessing of all the Paqua Yaqui tribe and all the Ota members too. We work well together, and we are neighbors to each other, and we treat each other like brothers.
We were just interviewing the acting director of the George Bearpaw Tucson area, addressing the issues of services and health services that are provided to the members. Question to the Paqua Yaqui chairman, in terms of services and appropriations. I know that Congress is discussing the interior budget right now. How many members are we talking about?
We're looking at almost 20,000 now, members that are members of the tribe, but you know, the services need to be improved, and we're asking for more, and we're asking for Congress to really review, you know, what they do in Indian country and not cut a lot of the things that it's their responsibility to provide to all of us as tribal members.
And for economic development, economic development is which all tribes are looking forward to in terms of economic development, jobs.
Absolutely. It provides a lot of jobs, but a lot of our money gets funneled back into health services, social services, drug prevention, education. All of that is being taken care of by a lot of this economic development base.
And you have to your left
Mr. Ron, that's what
yes.
we brought him in.
Yes, and so Mr. Young, a question, is there some workings towards establishing and opening up in a restaurant for there at the casino for Tohono Nation?
Yeah, and eventually, and Phoenix. They call me, and then I go open up. Yes.
That's good to know because I think that's very important for tribes.
Yeah, my boss say just like he says, all Indian nations are brother. He says, I can go to Phoenix, no problem.
I know there's been a lot of discussion in terms of the city of Tucson.
Yes.
As far as a restaurant they're going to be looking at opening up right there on what is that, Congress and.
I'm supposed to open up today on Congress, but I give up that.
Oh, you
and
do?
I choose the Casino del Sol.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, that's good. That's
You
good
know
to
why
know.
I love the working with those Indian nation.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, they good people.
He's almost Yaqui now. So.
I'm Korean Yaquis.
Have you been able to attend the National Congress of American Indians?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We go to those meetings and we attend because I think the voices, the tribes, especially here close to the border in southern Arizona, need to be represented and heard.
And as far as the Yaquis in Sonora, in real Yaqui, there is an issue in terms of the water. There was about maybe a month and a half ago, they put out a statement in terms of addressing their water issues there in real Yaqui.
Well, there's a decreto of Cárdenas at one time that protected the waters for the Yaqui in Sonora, or Mexico as it's called now. Of course, for us, the Yaqui, there is no border. We are one nation, and the sad thing about it is we live in two nations like the Otom do. And the rights and Indian rights in some countries aren't the same. And that's the struggle right now for the Yaqui in Sonora, in Mexico.
We interviewed about maybe a year or two ago of my tribal member, Paqua Yaqui tribal member from Guadalupe. He's got a health clinic there, and he did say the time that the Paqua Yaqui tribe supported him in terms of funding to provide services to his members.
Dr. Molina is the gentleman that you're talking about, and we still do a lot of that, and we're trying to help the tribal members there, which triple our membership here. They're about at 40,000 plus. But for us, I think it's important that we never forget, our members that live in Mexico and try and help them as much as we can.
Right. And for the Paqua Yaqui tribe, the urban tribal members, and again, that was a question to the acting director.
And that's so important because the urban, Native American in the Tucson area needs better representation. That includes our members, Otom members, Apache, and all the other tribes, Navajos and everybody that lives in the Tucson area. The urban tribal members as well, Indian.
Chairman, I want to thank you for allowing us to interview.
God bless you.
And again, thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.